really don't know if I'm going to edit anything besides the thumbnail. So, what do we do? You might hear my cats meowing in the background. I don't really care. This is not going to be a super formal video. I want to get my opinions out. I want to get my thoughts out about firearms, about yet another tragedy that has happened and that has, I wouldn't say in an odd way, but in a peculiar way it's affected a lot of people. It's almost like this mythical force or something is impacting a lot of people because this is spreading like wildfire. Obviously the news about Charlie Kirk getting assassinated at Utah, at a campus. God. Okay, so I wrote down some notes, just some things to remind myself, some points to make, because sometimes I ramble and get off topic. This is, again, unedited, uncensored. I'm going to speak how I want. I minimally set up my phone to film. I don't really care. As long as you can hear me. Listen to this while you're getting a coffee, driving to work, while you're at work, while you're at home, whatever. So let's get some things clear. Coming from an individual sound of mind, at least I hope I am. A big fuck you to the conspiracy theorists about how Charlie Kirk was killed. A big fuck you to you pieces of shit that say this was an inside job, or that Charlie Kirk is alive and it was a hologram, that it was a fake video on a hologram of Charlie Kirk being assassinated, and all of this was for show and for stage. A big fuck you. Just to get that out there. Now that we've got that out of the way. Charlie Kirk was assassinated at a campus, a college campus, I believe, in Utah. I say I believe because I wanted to make sure I don't want to say something completely for certain. I believe it was a college campus, but it was in Utah, and he was assassinated. He was shot about 200 yards away. He was shot with a .30-06 Mauser, kind of an old school bolt action rifle, and the round hit him in the neck. I think there were thousands there, maybe hundreds, but definitely hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of people were there to see Charlie get assassinated brutally. Now, medically, some closure. Here's some closure. Don't think Charlie suffered. You can see him posturing as the round hits his neck. It looks like that posturing might indicate that there was some trauma to the brain stem. It could have been a half second of him trying to react and then immediately going unconscious, although I think it was more CNS related, nervous system related. I think he blacked out pretty instantly, and I don't think he suffered at all in his passing. You can see him slouch over as blood is pouring out of his neck. He pretty much blacked out within like a sixth of a second, a fifth of a second. He did not feel it. It was just boom, he's gone. So thankfully he didn't suffer. That's pretty much medically confirmed. If you watch the graphic video, you can verify pretty much to yourself that he didn't suffer. A person's not just gonna, I'm just gonna lay back, and it's just common sense. He wasn't conscious when he was hit. So this has really affected this has affected people all over the world, not just Americans. There are many people in different countries that are mourning Charlie. Just so many countries that are lighting candles, that are trying to pay tribute to him. And here is kind of what people of sound mind, again, I hope I'm of sound mind, people that are sound of mind are saying that it doesn't matter your political stance. If you're left, right, a unicorn, or a zebra, it does not matter, or it does not matter. It It is never justified to take someone's life, to assassinate someone because they say things, because they have a view on something that you don't agree with. We cannot, as a country or as people, resort to killing someone because they have a different opinion than us. Now, this is falling on deaf ears. What I just said is falling on deaf ears of people that suffer from mental health disorders, i.e. scumbags like the person that assassinated Charlie Kirk. What I mean mental health disorders, I don't just mean I don't mean anxiety. I don't mean ADHD or anything that's fairly minor like that, or OCD, things that are not going to cause you to do this. I'm talking about people that are mentally fucked. People that lack empathy. I am talking about people with severe ASPD, antisocial personality disorder. People with... Now, this doesn't make everyone a murderer. But the problem when people murder other people, when it's not a justified self-defense, the problem that nobody can get through their head is that it is a mental health problem. Someone's sound of mind will never murder someone. That does not happen. Well, in 1999, there was a study that found this person killed... No, that person had a mental health disorder. You cannot... Someone that is sound of mind will never murder someone. There has to be something going on mentally that is severe that causes them to murder someone. A lack of empathy. Having severe antisocial personality disorder increases the chances. Extreme narcissism increases the chances of someone murdering someone else. Being diagnosed with being a severe psychopath, that increases the chances of that person murdering someone. It doesn't mean that's going to happen, but the crisis in America, what's going on is people that are very unwell mentally are going out and they are easily accessing firearms and using that very effective tool to take someone's life unjustly. That is the issue. Do we have a firearm problem here in America? No. It is not a problem of firearms. Firearms do not walk up by themselves and murder someone. What happens is someone very unwell mentally obtains a very effective tool, a tool that is very effective in taking people's lives. They obtain that tool and they use it to commit murder, harm. Again, it is not a firearm problem we're facing. It is a mental health problem. What happens if you remove the mental health problem? No one would murder anyone. People with anxiety disorders don't wake up one day and decide to murder someone. There has to be an underlying condition that causes them to murder someone, or that increases their chances of murdering someone. Antisocial personality disorder can do that. Covert extreme narcissism can do that. Delusions, psychosis, psychopathy, and I'm sure there's a couple other. OCD, anxiety, ADHD, no. If you have those, they can coexist with those severe narcissism, but that's not, you will never kill someone if you have anxiety alone, just by itself. If you have OCD by itself, you will never kill someone. If you have ADHD by itself or autism, there has to be a lack of empathy, remorse, or it is done for, it is done because of wanting to obtain power or to sway, to want to get control. Lack of empathy, that's what's going to cause it. So back to the firearms. Since it is a mental health problem we are facing and not a firearm problem we are facing, here's what I recommend, and I don't think my voice is going to get anywhere. It'll get a few views. Maybe 2 people will talk about it, but that's something. So we need to have fortified processes of getting a firearm. Obtaining a firearm needs to be drastically changed. The procedures. I, about 5 months ago, walked into Academy Sports here in Indiana, and within 45 minutes, I walked out with a 12 gauge shotgun, pump action. Capacity was like, I think, six shells. That's an issue. It's not an issue with someone that is sound of mind. It is an issue when people that are deranged can do that. So some of my recommendations. Again, that process of obtaining a firearm needs to be heavily fortified and changed. Fuck being able to buy a firearm when you are 18 years old. It makes no sense to be able to buy a firearm when you are 18. Am I glad I got my first rifle at 18? Yeah, it was awesome. However, at 18 years old, I did not know my head from my fucking ass. I was a child. Everyone at 18 years old, you're still figuring out things. Your brain is still developing. The brain does not stop developing and maturing until you're about 25 to 26. So shoot that up. And that's for all firearms, even some strong pellet guns. But for all firearms, it should be 25 to 27 should be the age when you can purchase a firearm. That should be the age. That would give, in my opinion, psychologists, that would give more years for people to pick up on potential red flags that people exhibit in their behavior. Some people commit crimes when they're 18 and younger. There have been teenage murderers. And there have been people that have never committed an act of violence unjustly against someone else until they were like age in their 40s or 50s. However, I do believe there are red flags that we could pick up on during the buying a firearm process. So number one, it shouldn't just be a background check, a simple background check. I don't know how deep background checks go. But if there's any way it can be more in depth, that's one thing. Again, I'm not going to speak and say that that's how background checks are. Background checks may be crazily in depth. I don't know. But if they aren't, increase the depth that background checks go. There should potentially be talks with parents and loved ones. If you're interested in buying a firearm, hey, is this your kid's interested in buying a firearm? Is there anything you ever noticed behavior-wise? Is there anything documented? Has he seen a psychiatrist or therapist for one reason or the other? Then you should have a scheduled meeting with a psychiatrist and a therapist. Maybe even disguise the therapist or psychiatrist as an employee. And they ask you questions that therapists and psychologists would ask. Have you ever done this? Have you ever done this? What do you think about your family? What do you think about people? What's your purpose in life? What do you, morally, how do you feel? There needs to be an interview process because, again, this is a mental health problem. It is not a firearm problem. The problem with the firearms is that they're too easily obtained. That's the only firearm issue. You can walk into a store, 20 minutes background check, and buy a really cheap firearm and walk out and then go get an ammo and holster. It is more of a hassle to buy a car than it is to buy a firearm. So the process of buying a firearm, I think, needs to be improved. And maybe even there's just if a person has red flags, maybe not like red flags that would instantly cancel you out from ever obtaining a firearm, but things that they see during the process of buying a firearm. Yeah, I don't know if we should. That's kind of a red flag, but not horribly. Put like a year, like wait time on that person just to kind of like see, is there any other things that are going to develop? Now, again, so we're too deep as Americans in our country. It's unfortunate that we are too deep in firearm culture. It's in our Constitution, so we're allowed to have firearms. It's the law. It's our constitutional right to have firearms. But we are too deep in firearm culture in America for it to be as easy as, we'll take away all your firearms. Because the milsim people are going to come out of the woodworks. The psychopaths are going to come out of the woodworks. They're going to show their true colors, and they're going to try and kill people that the authorities that try and remove their firearms. So I don't think that would work. And criminals don't follow the law. So even if we got rid of firearms, do you know how many would be able to be hidden? It wouldn't be a simple knock knock, can I have your firearms? Thank you. People are going to try and hide them, transport them somewhere else. Some people aren't going to give their firearms away without violence and trying to murder those that come take their firearms. That's another thing that we would have to juggle if we were to remove firearms. But even then, again, the bad guys aren't going to give a fuck. They're going to break into a house with a firearm that they bought on the black market or whatever, or that they were given it to them by another criminal, and then we as homeowners, or we're gonna have that fucker break in with a decked out AR or a shotgun, and we're not. What the fuck are we gonna be able to do? So it's not. We're too deep in American culture, in this firearm culture, to just either give up firearms or ban them. Because there are so many here in the US, we get rid of them. Criminals now have a fuck ton of firearms to use to do their horse shit. And yeah, we're fucked, is essentially how that would go. And one more thing I wanted to talk about with firearm laws that doesn't make any sense to me. Suppressors. So suppressors, I don't know if these laws with suppressors were made by someone that watched too many action movies, but suppressors... most firearms with a suppressor will still deafen you. You can't shoot someone downstairs and the guy upstairs doesn't hear it. An AR with standard 5.56 rounds with a can with a suppressor on the end. If there was someone downstairs shooting an AR with a suppressor here, I would flinch and realize what the fuck, and I would know what it is. It's not like the movies where you can go around a corner, kill 30 guys, and the dude 5 feet away is just... Was that a fly? That's fucking not how it works. If you have subsonic 300 blackout with a suppressor and you're outdoors, yeah, those are very, very quiet. 22s with suppressors kind of sound like airsoft guns. But there is a 6-month wait time, I think, in most states for you to obtain a suppressor. For fucking what? That doesn't make any sense. What is a suppressor going to do? A suppressor, it makes it a little quieter, but most criminals aren't going to use a 300 blackout rifle. Most criminals are fucking dumb. They're not going to really deck out an AR. They're going to pick up... What's a criminal going to do with a suppressed 5.56? It is still deafening. You put a 5.56 with a suppressor or a 9mm next to your ear, and you shoot it with a suppressor, you're going to viscerally flinch, and you're not going to be able to hear out of that ear for 2 months. Like, properly. So what the fuck? It's suppressors, I don't know why there's a 6-month wait time. Now, there's my cat jumping in. Now, what do we do with the suppressors that are fitted to weapons that could be really quiet, like a rifle that uses 300 blackout subsonic or a 22? Those would be a good idea to have a 6-month wait time. But why is there a 6-month wait time on 9mm 45? And it just doesn't fucking make... Even if you're using subsonic 5.56, it doesn't make any sense. So there you go. That's kind of my rant about what's really going on here. Not only is it a mental health issue, as in individuals are suffering from... So I heard a knock on the door and I turned my head. What do you think a suppressed 5.56 is going to do? I'm going to jump out of my chair if it was downstairs. That's what we're facing here in America. And it's all around the world, really. It's a mental health problem. Sick individuals that need mental health care, like severe mental health care, are obtaining firearms and they're murdering people. Right? And it's also some people that may have... I don't know, this is like deep and kind of very nuanced and odd, but there may have been individuals that committed crimes that if they sought help and weren't afraid of the ghastly prices of mental health, they would have gotten the help they needed, never committed the crimes in the first place. I don't know. I don't know if there's studies or documents concerning people that, I wanted to get mental health, but I snapped. So this is the problem. This is what we're facing here in America, is a mental health dilemma combined with way too easy access to firearms. I love that I can go in for myself and get any firearm I want relatively quickly. I love it. That's cool, great for me, but if we're being selfless and not selfish, that is not good for the nation. There needs to be longer wait times for firearms, just to increase the chances slightly that if we see someone that's potentially a red flag, we don't give them time to commit a crime, but we give them time to see if more red flags pop up to when then we can permanently ban them from firearms. Yes, criminals are going to get firearms regardless, right? But not all criminals are smart. There are some criminals that are probably so fucking dumb, they think the only way I can obtain a firearm is by buying it, you know? Criminals do illegal shit, but I guarantee you there's some criminals out there that don't think that they can obtain firearms illegally. So this is just going to help weed out those people that are going to do that. That are going to want to buy a firearm and then murder another Charlie Kirk. So again, let's go back to Charlie Kirk. Again, a big fuck you to the people that legitimately have celebrated his death, that have said that they're glad he's dead because he's a Nazi, he's pro-Israel. Even if someone openly said that they support the genocide that's going on in the world and all that, and they're pro-Israel, it does not give you the right to perch yourself on a rooftop and blow someone's head off or kill someone, right? That doesn't give you the right. It's not written in the Constitution, so why the fuck are you doing it? Because of mental health issues. And because firearms are way too fucking easily obtained. It's just the truth. We need to lock down that shit. See, this whole thing is just, it's so fucking tragic. People say, well, it's not a tragedy. No, it's tragic. It's horrible. So therefore, it's tragic. It's a tragedy. But there have been people that have been celebrating his death. There have been people that have that make jokes about it, and I am so glad. I am so glad. I think some are skits out there. I don't think all of them are real. I think some of the videos of people crying about losing their jobs, I think there's a few that are fake. They just kind of have that feel, you know. But there are some that are real, and they've confirmed to lose their jobs, and oh my God, yes. It's freedom of speech. We do have that freedom of speech here in America, but it's not freedom of freedom of consequences. You don't get to say whatever the fuck you want and not have consequences. If someone walks up to me and says, "I want to kill you," with a straight face, okay. Good thing I've got my Glock in my waistband. If you try and kill me, and you know, Steven Crowder made a good point. I was listening to one of his videos about this tragedy I was working. And he says, no longer are we going to stand back. No longer are we going to just take this shit. We are going to lawfully, within the law, I'm saying this very clearly, within the law, within our constitutional rights, we are going to act with violence. Within the law. I don't want to get into legal trouble. We need to defend ourselves legally within the law. I've said that so many times it doesn't even sound like a phrase now. It sounds like gibberish. We need to legally defend ourselves. We need to carry firearms legally within the law, and be prepared if someone comes up to us and gives us death threats or done sitting around. If you legally have a firearm and you're legally allowed to carry it, please carry it with you. This is just it's so goddamn sad. Charlie Kirk, to a lot of people, regardless if you agree with him or not, if you're sound of mind and you're not glad he's dead, this has really kind of affected all of us. I've seen a lot of graphic videos online. I've watched a lot of gore videos because of morbid curiosity that I've saw, ooh, what's it? Oh God, like a lot of beheadings, a lot of horrible, horrible, vile shit I've seen. Like a lot of people that get the morbid curiosity. But this, like, man, this really just really fucking hit me. And I think it's because I've seen him on social media. I've seen the memes of his smiling, the mostly gums smile. Not making fun of him. It's just he does have a gummy smile. I've seen the memes. I've watched like 5-10 minutes of his debates. So it was very. It almost felt like I knew him. Like anyone that watches someone, you have a favorite YouTuber, it kind of does feel like you know him, at least online. Kind of feels like he's your buddy. And it just fucking, like, God. It has really bothered me. This has really, really bothered me when I saw it 6 days ago from the date this is uploaded. It's just horrible. Nobody deserves to be murdered because they said words. Nobody deserves to be killed because they have a different opinion than you. Regardless if you believed he was a Nazi or evil, you don't get to go out and kill someone. And to the people that have celebrated his death, to the people that have stomped on his murals, to the people that have online openly, sincerely, not a gag, not a skit, but have sincerely wished his family hell, his children hell, that have that actually wanted him to die. I hope you get the topic of this video, the mental health support that you need before you go out and do the very same thing that scumbag did. So rest in peace, Charlie. I hope his family, his wife, his whole family, people that knew his family, his friends, I hope they can somehow navigate this and heal. It's just horrible. And hopefully we can start getting some systems in places, no matter how much it costs. If we need to put a cop at every school, 4 or 5 officers at every campus, then that's what should be done. I don't give a fuck about the debt of the country. We need safety. We need security. It's about time. So rest in peace, Charlie. And I hope we can figure something out.